welcome to Patriot Resource Network. This is Lana Ray, and today I've got Ronnie White with us, and he's going to talk to us about the MRA, which we'll find out what that means. So, welcome, Ronnie, to the podcast, and go ahead and kind of explain a little bit about how you got involved and what the MRA, what it means, and a little bit about yourself.
Okay, Lana, thanks for having me. A little bit about myself. Let's go there first. I'm a Southern boy at heart. I was born in Richardson, Mississippi. I spent most of my young life in Fort Worth, Texas. My family moved quite a bit across the South. But in Fort Worth, Texas, my dad was involved in truck driving and crane operating and things of that nature. So I spent most of my elementary school years there and my first year in junior high. 1968, we moved from Fort Worth back to my home state of Mississippi, and my dad took a job at Ingalls Shipyard in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and affirmative action came into play, and my dad lost his job to an affirmative hire. So he became self-employed, and we moved to Louisiana, where I finished up my high school years and joined the Army. I joined the Army in 1973, and I spent 22 years on active duty. My first duty assignment was Korea. I was with the 2nd Infantry Division, 1st and 72nd Armored Combat Support Company as a Red-Eye Defense Air Defense team member. I spent 2 years there, and I went from there to Fort Polk, Louisiana, the 5th Infantry Division. I spent a couple of years there, and then I went to Germany for 3 years with the 1st Armored Division, 16th Engineer Battalion. Went from there to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, spent 4 years there as an instructor. Left there, went back to Germany for 3 years.
Wow.
So
Been around.
Yes, ma'am. I've been to Fort Polk, Louisiana. I've been everywhere, traveled a lot in the Army in my 22 years. I retired from the Army officially on 1 January 1995. I actually retired or took a job in on Veterans Day of November 1994 as an Army instructor for junior ROTC at Clinton High School. I was there for 9 years. Then I was approached by the senior Army instructor in Ozark. He was looking for an experienced instructor, asked me if I'd apply for the job. I did. Was accepted and came to Ozark, Missouri in July 2003. Been here ever since. Officially retired from everything in June of 2017. I am married. My wife's name is Deanna Ray.
Okay.
We've been married for 23 years. We've got 5 children between us. She had brought 4 to the marriage. I have 1. We have 9 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. So that's a little bit about me. I mean, when you get to my age, you have a lot to talk about.
That's right.
But, so I don't want to bore your audience with all that. So currently, I hold 2 titles. I am the 2nd Vice President of the 7th District Missouri Republican Assembly, and that the MRA portion that's what that stands for. We have a parent organization at the state level, the Missouri Republican Assembly, which I was for 2 years the 2nd Vice President for that organization. And I'll get into those in a moment. I'm also the treasurer for the Christian County Missouri Republican Assembly, or the CCMRA. I also refer to the 7th District as the 7CD MRA. Just makes it shorter for me. As the second vice president for the 7th District, I have a multifaceted position. This is my second year as the second vice president. My first year, our bylaws lacked any duties and responsibilities for the second VP, so I was just kind of at large. Whatever they wanted me to do, I'd try to do it, which wasn't much. But we just came out of convention this past weekend. We held our annual convention, and we now have remedy to that. So the second vice president is actually now the membership director for the district. I'll handle all membership records for all the counties and account for them for the district and for the state. That's what that entails. Also, you know, you're as the second vice president, you're a member of the board, so you attend all board meetings, and participate in those. As the CCMRA treasurer, I'm responsible for the duties of the treasurer, which are quite a few when you think about it. I know you're the Central Committee treasurer, so you know what I'm talking about. I manage a comprehensive treasurer's notebook. I maintain all of my monthly and annual reports in there. Caveat there, we just had our first annual report ever this year. We got that done. I take care of all the banking requirements, all the annual reports to the state and federal government that are required, which initially we weren't aware of that we needed to do. But we've got that under control now. I receive all payments, all checks, all monies. And they come in and account for everything that goes out. And of course, you know, the MEC is involved, so we have to keep that updated as well.
Yes.
Um,
Which the MEC is the Missouri Ethics Commission, for those of you that may not know what that is.
I'm sorry.
I'm big on acronyms because I never knew anything before I got involved.
Yeah, in politics there are a lot of acronyms, just like there was in the military, and sometimes when you get to talking or discussing these things, they just keep popping up, and you don't think about your audience. I'll try to do better as we move forward.
I'll jump in.
Okay. All right. So that's a little bit about me. How I came to the MRA. In 2012, I attended my first Republican caucus. It was held at Ozark High School. I went. That was the year that Rand Paul ran for president. And to say the least, that was a fiasco. I was not impressed with how caucuses worked at that time. But I got involved. After that caucus, I was asked to run for the precinct committeeman for East Findlay Precinct. I did that. I had 2 people that were running against me, and I won that election. I walked every inch of the East Findlay Precinct, talked to everybody that would talk to me. And I stayed with the Central Committee, the Christian County Central Committee, for 2 years. But the leadership at that time wasn't open to new people. They weren't open to new ideals. I come to believe that they were just blue dog Democrats myself instead of Republicans. No, I'm not saying that they were. I'm just saying that was my thought process.
Your opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion, at that time, based on the way they conducted business.
Right.
So, you know, I went to every meeting. I didn't miss any meetings. I tried to have input, but the powers in charge controlled that input. And they even dissuaded us from trying to work within our precincts to keep people informed. Oh, that's not our business. We don't want to do that. I have since learned that was not right, but
no, that would not be right.
So I am running again now for the East Findlay precinct this year. Currently, I don't have any challengers, so hopefully that'll hold through the end of March.
Right.
I was introduced to the Christian County Missouri Republican Assembly by a friend of mine, Bob Eastep, I had known him from the Central Committee and stayed in touch with him. And he wanted me to go to a meeting with him, and I did. And I liked what they were doing compared to the Central Committee. Being involved in local politics or local elections and things of that nature.
Right.
So I filled out an application and was accepted in August of 2020. Of course, now this was during the pandemic stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which was crazy, but I won't go there.
Yeah. That's another video.
But after my first year, the state convention was held. And I was elected as a delegate to go to the Missouri Republican Assembly convention that year. That was 2021. And while at the convention, they were in that particular year, in odd number years, they elect officers. Even number years, they endorse candidates.
Okay.
So nobody wanted the job of second vice president. Now, this is coming off the resignation of the whole board of directors in, I think it was 2019. They were having a hard time filling the positions. So I think it was Tom Taylor, I believe.
Probably. He's everywhere.
Yeah, he can. My memory, if my memory serves me right, he nominated me, and I accepted, and I was the only nomination. So therefore, I become the second VP. Now, the second VP at the state level is membership director. I mean, you're in charge of collecting and maintaining all of the membership reports and reporting them up the chain to the NFRA. The problem was that when the board resigned, they took everything with them and didn't leave anything.
Wow.
And I could not find any records on anything. So I had to rebuild all of that. So I spent 2 years rebuilding the membership records for the MRA, establishing reports and things of that nature.
Wow.
And we got that under control. Now that there's a good system in place, I mean, it could be tweaked, of course, but as I used to say as a leader in the Army, anytime that you take a position or a job, when you leave that job, you need to leave that unit, that organization in better shape than you found it.
Right.
And I think I achieved that.
Good. That's a good.
In 2023, I was not nominated for second VP. A new leadership took over, and I came back down to the county.
Okay.
At the county level, well, actually, in last year, 2023, I was a delegate to the 7th district and was nominated and elected as a second VP at the 7th district, even though they didn't have a job title for you. They had to get that fixed.
So the MRA has a 7th district.
Yes, ma'am. The way this works, I'll start at the top.
Yeah.
The National Federation of Republican Assemblies is the national organization that we fall under. I call them the NFRA for short. The NFRA's mission is to establish state assemblies.
Okay.
In 1998, or thereabouts, the state of Missouri established their Republican Assembly. They are an incorporated entity within the state of Missouri as well. They have been registered with the Secretary of State off and on for all that time. So they are incorporated. The goal of the state Republican Assembly was to stand up district assemblies and charters.
Yeah.
Currently, the MRA at the state level has 3 districts. The 2nd district, which is around St. Louis, the 3rd district, which is around Columbia, and then you have the 7th district. Now, these are congressional district areas. It's the same mapping as you would for the MOGOP. And then you have the 7th congressional district here in Southwest Missouri.
Okay. Okay, well, let's stop right there on part one and we'll come back with part two. And I want to get a little bit more specific as to defining exactly what the purpose is of the MRA and more nuts and bolts to that. So we'll be right back with part two.